Hey, hello, welcome to another video of FlashHub. And in this video, I want to introduce you to the FlashHub agency business model calculator. And the idea behind that and why I created this initially is because I wanted to calculate the transformation of my own agency, Bright Solutions, from a local team of 43 employees into a virtual organization of only 12 employees and 150 freelancers. And why I did that is because I needed more flexibility in skills, in capacity, and in costs to, on the one side, serve my clients because they request more and more services that I can't deliver with a static team. And on the other side, I want to be able to still be profitable, even if revenues are low or unpredictable, for example, as in times of Corona. And my problem was that I had no idea how to calculate the profitability because I had very high fixed costs at this time with 43 employees, like 250,000 euro per month. And I couldn't allow myself to do some experiments that would be very expensive if I don't understand the exact economics. I've developed this business model with a financial modeler. So it was not everything done completely by myself. Many other people contributed to that, but that's why it has a real high quality and lots of knowledge inside. I want to show you how you can use that, no matter if you are an agency and have already employees, if you are a freelancer and want to scale your business with other freelancers, or if you start building your agency and want to understand which employees to hire and when to use freelancers. By the way, this video is all about this Excel sheet. There is another video that is called the setup of a scalable agency. You should have access to that when you already bought the package where you get access to this business model. Make sure to watch this video first because it will give you a complete overview over the setup of all roles, the culture, the tools, the workflows, and the overall agency setup of an agency that follows this model. If you understand that, it will be much easier for you to understand also this Excel sheet here. So let's dive into that. The first thing here in the top assumptions is the what if analysis. So basically you can create 4 different scenarios here, right? You can switch the scenario simply by typing the different number here, and then this scenario column will highlight in blue, right? So let's go back to 2. Yeah. And then you have different rows here. The first row is your assumption, how much you can grow your revenue per year, right? So an average number for agencies from, I would say, 3 to 20 employees, or let's say from 100,000 revenue per year to 1 million per year is 15 to 20%. That's achievable. But there are other agencies that grow only 5% or agencies that grow only 30%. It all depends on how well you master your marketing and sales process to acquire new customers, right? And you know that best, so you can create different scenarios here. And while you can switch these scenarios, you will see different results. I will show you exactly in this video where you can see the results in this business model. So first, fill in these numbers based on past experience and based on your future growth plans. In the next row, you see squad revenue goal growth per year. That's why I said, watch the video about the setup of a scalable agency first, because there I explain exactly what squads are, how they work, and which intention they follow. So a squad is a small team that is led in the same way as a small company, but within your agency, right? So they are an autonomous team and they can grow their revenue with upsells or cross sales, or simply by having long-term relationships in projects with their existing clients. And this number is about how much revenue increase you are confident that the squads can reach per year. Typically in our agency, it's between 5 and 10%. If they focus on customer satisfaction, deliver their KPIs, over deliver, under promise, right? I'm talking about all these things in detail in the other video of the setup of a scalable agency. You can even increase revenue with existing clients way more than 10%, like 20% or 30%. And by adding these different numbers in different scenarios here, you can see how this will influence your overall results. And that will help you to understand where you should put your focus, for example, on new sales or on nurturing existing customers, delivering even more value and try to make more business with them. The next thing is the ratio of virtual team costs of revenue. That means when you hire virtual teams for delivering your projects, and again, watch the other video because I explain exactly how the squads are responsible to do that, then this number is how much costs from the revenue that you get with your clients you will create or spend in virtual teams. Let me give you an example. If you have revenue of 10,000 euro, then you need to hire freelancers to deliver these services. And if you spend 4,000 euro, for example, to virtual teams, which means 6,000 euro is to cover your costs of full-time employees or yourself if you have some, and be profitable, then your ratio is 40%, right? In the next scenario, if you have revenue of 10,000 euro and you only want to spend 15% to pay freelancers, that would be 1,500 euro, right? So you should calculate, or before you calculate, you should simulate with these different scenarios here, how profitable you need to be per you need to simulate how profitable you need to be per project, basically, and how much money, how much percentage of your revenue you can spend for hiring freelancers. So the next thing is non-productive employee salary growth per year. That means if you have employees that work in administration, that work not in projects, right? So not direct resources that you need to employ to deliver your projects, because in this model, you will do this with freelancers. That scales far better. But you might have employees and they might want to have a salary raise per year. And this number gives you an idea how many percent per year their salary should grow. Like 2%, 5%, 10%. More than 10% is very high. So this should give you an idea about how much your employee salaries should or could grow per year. And this SG&A expense growth per year is all other costs, for example, for infrastructure, for legal and advisory costs, for marketing, for basically everything that is not productive and not employee related. It can decrease, right? That's why I put a minus here. In the first 2 years after I transformed my own agency with that model, my SG&A costs and my non-productive employee costs decreased from 250,000 euro to only 90,000 euro per month. So there's a huge potential to decrease overhead costs and transform fixed costs into variable costs, which is the basis for scaling your business with unpredictable, volatile revenues. So next thing is split per year, right? So this business model will help you to create a plan for the next 5 years. You can adjust that if you are already in 2021. If you watch this video, just change the labels here and do this in all the other sheets that you can see here on the bottom in the tabs. And then you will have always your 5-year plan if you want to have that. And yeah, you can adjust that. So typically an agency has projects. I labeled it here development project, right? That can be a marketing project, a software project, or whichever kind of real projects you have. I'm talking about projects when we have a scope and we need to do something like deploy resources, develop a software, create a setup of a landing page, a marketing strategy, etc. And once it's finished, we go into service or support. That's why we have here a number how much percent of our total revenue we generate with projects. And here is how much of our total revenue we earn with support or retainers. You can change that number here. This is how much percentage we have new projects per year. Like if I say, okay, I earn 50% of my project related revenue with existing business, with existing clients, right? No new sales closing needs to happen because I already have these projects. Then the number would be 50, and I have 50% of revenue coming from new projects, right? New projects that sales needs to close. Yeah, here you can set if you have support projects or not, if you work with retainers or not. You can either set yes or no here. That will then influence this calculation here. Next thing is, remember the squads are like small businesses within your agency, within your business. And they have the responsibility to deliver the projects, to fulfill the contracts profitably. They earn the money basically. And here is how much revenue per year the squads should make, right? That means sales need to bring those deals, otherwise they don't have any deals to work on. But the goal is to make 1 million per year. And this increases every year because they should become even more efficient, right? That's why in the next year it's 1,150,000, etc. So this number is calculated. This initial number here is the setup, and then the following years are calculated based on this number here, 15% revenue growth for the squads, right? And 15% of 1 million is 1,150,000, and so on. And then it calculates based on your overall revenue growth per year. It calculates how many squads you need, right? So the scaling idea, and I explained that also in the setup of a scalable agency in this other video, the idea of how you can scale is you simply don't need to hire many more developers or designers or project managers. You just need to hire one new person for creating a new squad. And then later, once you have more than 3 projects, hire another person like a portfolio manager, a squad manager, as I name it in the other video, that helps to keep things structured, right? Customer success manager is the person that makes sure the client is happy and gets services delivered and has a contact person. And the squad manager is there to create the virtual teams, make sure the portfolio is managed profitably, etc. So, and such a squad can make up to 1.5 million revenue per year. If you want to make another million, you need another squad, right? Otherwise, if they have more than 10 projects, a squad, that is too much from my experience. You might see differently, but I try to not have more than 10 projects at the same time for one squad. Then you need to scale simply by creating another squad in your company. And that's the number here that calculates automatically how many squads you need. So here is, again, how many customer success managers you need per squad, how many squad managers you need per squad. I always have just one. I always just have one customer success manager, one squad manager per squad, right? Another squad has then the same amount. If you want to be able to hand over work when one customer success manager goes on vacation, you can have this redundant, but that increases your cost factor too. Typically, when a squad manager or customer success manager goes on vacation, what we do is we ask another squad if they can take over, and then they get an internal money transfer to be compensated for this support. You can also see that in the other video of the scalable agency setup. Some clients that I help to implement this system, they also have product owners employed in their squad, right? You can do that if you have only a few projects, but they are very big. Then it makes sense to hire a product owner because you can utilize this person over the long term. In my own agency, we have the product owners usually in the virtual team, but that's up to you. you can play around with all these numbers here and see what's best. And just remember, if you bought the Scalable Agency Starter Pack, you also have a free consultation with me or with somebody from my team, and you can go through these options and discuss the best setup for your agency. So here are the operating assumptions. What we do per project is we charge a base fee per month for a customer success manager, so that we are sure that whenever we have an active project, the customer success manager and the squad manager, and if we have a product owner, they are all covered by monthly recurring revenue. Basically, that's a retainer, right? A retainer to keep your stuff free for client inquiries or requests of any kind. And we have a base fee of 500 euro per month per role, but we don't have these product owners, right? So you can adjust these values. I highly recommend to do that. Some agencies, they are not bold enough to charge per month for active projects because they think they need to be flexible. I would not agree, because I made different experience. I want to be flexible, but I also want to have certainty that I can pay my staff to keep them available in case of clients need something, right? If they don't pay, I need to utilize my stuff in other projects. And when a client that thinks he has an active project requests something and the person is not available, they will be highly disappointed. So the quality is better, customer satisfaction is higher if we get a monthly retainer for keeping our team available for an active client. But that's a business model thing. I just want to tell you how I do it. You can copy that or create your own model. Here, this is what I was talking about previously. How many projects in parallel can we have per squad, right? I recommend, if you can afford that, having fewer bigger projects, because then they can keep their focus better. But we have approximately 10 projects at the same time in parallel per squad. Here is the general average project size over the project lifetime. So how big are your projects? Basically, that's what should be put in here. That's a calculation. That's a calculation based on the revenue goal and the number of projects you want to have per squad, and then this number is calculated. You see that it's 1 million divided by 10, 1.15 million divided by 10, etc. So that is your sales target, how big your project should be that your sales team hunts, basically. And this one is then the target for your salespeople, how much revenue a salesperson needs to close per year. That's a very important number to really keep sales accountable and to measure sales performance. There is also more about this topic in the video, the setup of a scalable agency. And then you have salary assumptions, right? So the salary, the cross salary for all these roles, for the customer success manager, squad manager, and if you have a product owner, also for the product owner. I just put 5,000 euro per month. That's an average salary for this position here in Germany. You can adjust that according to your local economy and your local salaries. By the way, you don't need to employ them. We also have a squad where the squad manager is a freelancer. That also works, right? So that's not a must-have that you have full-time employees for these roles. Just for the customer success manager, I would recommend that, because if you have more than 10 projects, you can utilize this person over the long term. So it makes economically sense to employ them and hire a freelancer where you need to have dynamics, because you have always different skills and capacities. Then that makes sense. So the next thing is salespeople per marketing person, right? So I also talk about this in the other video, the setup of a scalable agency, because you need marketing to create sales qualified leads, right? If you sell to other businesses, you need to generate leads. They need to be qualified. Then you hand them over to sales and sales closes them. And this number here is how many salespeople we can have per marketing person. 1,000 is just we can have unlimited salespeople per marketing. So that makes no real sense. I put that to 2 and here 50. So what we have right now, we can have 2 salespeople per marketing person. If we want to have 3 salespeople, we need to have another marketing person. Otherwise, they don't generate enough leads to feed all the salespeople, right? And the exact number will be calculated here below. And then we have salespeople per sales assistant, right? Salespeople, they should be able to delegate, like creating the proposals, etc. If you want that, if you don't have so much sales yet, the salespeople should do this by themselves. And then later, they should be able to scale either with freelance assistants or with full-time assistants. And here is how many salespeople can we have if we need to hire another assistant. And from my experience, it's 2. We can have 2 salespeople, 1 assistant. That works very well. And then we have employees per team assistant. When you have real full-time employees, you need to care about the payroll, and they might have some questions, and you need to organize team events. And there are other things that you might want to do. So typically, we calculate with 50 employees and 1 team assistant. If you don't have an office, right, if you don't have other social benefits and other administrative things around employees, you don't even might need that, right? Currently, we only have 12 employees, so we have only 50% position of a team assistant because the overhead was dramatically reduced by hiring freelancers instead of full-time employees for every position. Yeah, and these numbers now are calculated, right? Remember, all the fat numbers are calculated. All the thin numbers are numbers you can input into this model. So now here is calculated how many salespeople you need. This is calculated based on how much revenue a salesperson needs to generate per year, and also your revenue goal per year that you have above in the assumptions. Then how many marketing people you need, right? You remember we put here, we need 1 marketing people for 2 salespeople. That means here is always 0.5 because we only have 1 salesperson. And here we start hiring another salesperson. That means also we need to staff up in marketing and hire full-time marketing person. Or it can also be a full-time freelancer, right? Our marketing team is completely stuffed with freelancers. We have 1 copywriter is employed because, yeah, this person is already in our company since 5 years and she wanted to stay. So that is also fine. I am not telling you always need freelancers, you always need employees. It depends on how fast you can hire experts that you need and how volatile your business is to stay profitable, even if revenues go down. Yeah, the same for other positions, right? A sales assistant, we put this ratio here. We can have 2 salespeople for 1 sales assistant. That's why we have 0.5, etc. And then a COO person that cares about the operations, you should have 1. In my business, in my agency at Bright Solutions, it's also a freelancer. CEO, that's myself. CTO, that's also currently myself, but I have a team that supports me. It's a freelancer team also. They care about the infrastructure. Then PMO, the project management office, controlling, reporting, accounting. You can put the numbers here. It's also a freelancer team in my agency. We have DevOps engineers, also freelancers. And if you have other roles or employees that you want to hire, you can put these numbers here, right? And then if you build a business, you typically have other costs. And these are all costs per squad. Just remember, a squad is like a small business, and if a squad is part of your business, the squads earn the money because they are the productive units, and they need to cover all other overhead costs. Like if you have an office where you have 3 squads in the office, every squad has to cover 30%, 33% to be exact, 33% of the office costs. Right? If you have 4 squads in the same office, every squad needs to cover 25%, etc. And that's the same for insurance, for cars, for Google, Facebook ads, because with this ad spend here per year, you need to acquire new sales qualified leads that sales can close, that sales can hand over to the squad so that they have new projects. And this should always be distributed to equally distributed to the squads. Yeah, then for recruiting, exhibitions, etc., etc., etc. You can put all, if you go to your accounting, to your P&L, profit and loss statement, you will see all the accounts. You can put them here. You can plan with rough numbers, right? This is not an exact to the euro or to the dollar planning tool. It's just to give you an idea about how the economics work, basically how your agency will start scaling once you implement this system. And we will see that in a few minutes. So now you have, let me go back. In these assumptions, you filled all the cost and growth and revenue assumptions. You filled all the growth expectations related to marketing and sales, which are the key drivers to grow your agency, right? You can grow a team as big as you want with freelancers or full-time employees. If you don't manage sales and marketing to win new clients systematically, you don't need this machine to scale up and down, because your focus should be on generating new clients. By the way, you could also do that with freelancers, right? I also have a freelance marketing team for FlashHub and for Bright Solutions, and they generate sales if we sell something directly online, or sales qualified leads so that sales can close them. You don't need to hire full-time employees. You want to test a lot, right? And that means you need a lot of different skills to test all the possibilities that you have and find the best way to generate new clients. Let's go to the model. You see again here we have like 5 years planning period. And then you see these are all calculated numbers. You don't need to input anything here. You just need to input where you see the fat blue highlights. Basically, you see assumptions is highlighted. That's the only place where you need to change things. And all the other parts are calculated based on the model that I've put behind with many formulas. Now you see that is your example profit and loss statement, your model based on the assumptions that you've put into the assumptions tab. That means you will make revenue of 575,000 in 2020 with existing projects. With new projects, you will make the same, because remember in the assumptions, we had a ratio of 50% new projects to existing projects. That's your total revenue. You have that for all years. I just go through one column, the year 2020. Then here, the total billable revenue of internal staff. Remember, we have this retainer of 500 euro per role for active projects. And that alone, based on the number of projects that you've put into the assumptions tab, this will be the the revenue that is generated only by retainers, which is very important because that should already cover a huge part of your costs of employees, right? If you have employees, and if you have employees that are always producing costs and generating value, of course, but talking financially, they generate costs and these costs need to be covered. And the more stable you can plan with revenue for fixed costs, the easier it is to stay profitable. If you don't charge this retainer, you need to calculate a higher percentage of money you earn with freelancers, right? If you give freelancers 10 euro, you should earn 20 euro or so. So the ratio should be around 50%, not only 40%. Yeah, that's just a calculated percentage. How much of your revenue, of this 1.15 million revenue, is this, right? So that's 18%. Then how much revenue you generate with virtual teams. And that's the important thing, because that's what allows you to scale. So when you have revenue, and in this case, in our planning scenario, based on the assumptions, you will make 943,000 euro per year with virtual teams, plus the revenue that is created by the retainers. That's 82%, and that's a good ratio. Yeah, a ratio. Everything beyond 75% of your revenue is created by virtual teams, means you have a very low ratio of fixed costs that you always need to utilize with new projects. Instead, if you have a ratio of 75% done by virtual teams, that means you can scale a lot. You have a very small core core team, right? And related fixed costs. And a huge amount, 75% of your revenue is created by virtual teams that you can scale up and down as revenues go. The same here is how much money you earn with support projects. It's also based on the assumptions, etc. Then here is your payroll for employees that are productive. Basically, these are the costs of people working in the client squads, customer success manager, squad manager, and product owner if you have one. And these are the payrolls of non-productive employees, means all other employees that are not working in the squads, like sales, sales assistant, marketing assistant, etc., team assistant, and so on. COO, CEO, these are all non-productive resources. They all don't directly work on the front line with clients. They don't produce revenue. They are supportive. So they are, non-productive, let's say. And this is how much money you spend paying freelancers. This is how much money you spend for virtual teams. And see, it depends on the ratio that you've put into the assumptions tab. Let's just go back here. Virtual team cost of revenue, right? Here we just have 15%. That's very high. That means you just spend 15% on freelancers and 85% are your profit, right? Your profit of this freelancer transaction. You can take this profit to cover your fixed costs, but 85% is pretty high. Usually I calculate with, I give 50 to 60% to freelancers and the rest is for covering costs and being profitable. But again, that's exactly why I've created this model here. You don't just need to decide, do you want to give 40% or 60% to freelancers? You need to see the whole model and how it works. It depends on how much sales you have, on how many fixed costs you have, what's your profitability target, etc. You need to respect all these things. Otherwise, you just have one number, but you need the whole business model to really make a decision for an economically working business that generates the profit that you want and has enough cash to keep everyone happy in the business, clients, as well as employees, and also the owners or other stakeholders. And then here, this is just, again, a list of all the other costs that are in the, that you've put into the assumptions. And then you have some other calculated values like your EBITDA margin. These are financial KPIs, basically how much profit of your revenue you have, right? 15% means if you make 1 million, you have a profit of 15% is 150,000 euro, right? That's your minimum here. Yeah. Okay. Next thing are also some calculations, just showing you how many squads you have, how many revenue you have this year, the costs per squad, that means all payrolls and other costs, etc. So that is nice to see, but it's not the most important thing. What is important is your customer acquisition costs, because that tells you how much money you spend in marketing and sales for stuff and for ads and whatever it is to find one new client. That's all your costs of marketing and sales and ads. And they are divided by the number of the amount of clients that you win with this budget. Yeah, you want to keep that low. Typically for us, it's really 2,500 euro for acquiring one new client. So here you have some other employee related costs. That means, you have the salary table here for your squad, for your productive employees. And also here in Germany, we have to pay tax on top of the gross salary. It's 22%. So here you have the total salary cost. That's very important because 22% is a lot. If you don't put that into your calculation, your model will not work. Then the same for employees that are non-productive, the same thing. You can plan with a bonus per year for these people because productive resources, they can participate on the profit they generate. That's how they earn their bonus. I also explained that in the other video called the setup of a scalable agency. While those non-productive people, they can't directly participate in the bonus they generate in operative projects, but you can give them a bonus like per year. If you want, you can add this to the numbers here. Yeah. The next thing is, give me a second. Yeah, here, employee productive paid by customer. These are the employees that are paid by customers with this monthly retainer that I talked about in the very beginning, right? And these are the billable revenues per role. These are billable revenues based on the monthly retainer. You see it's again 207,000. And as far as I remember, yeah, here we have 207,000, which is the total billable revenue of internal staff. This number must be exactly the same. And you see how much money you earn per year, per role based on this monthly fee, the retainer. Okay, that's just to see your whole stuff. And now here comes the point. This is where you can see your break even, right? You have the total cost, the total revenue, and the profit and loss. Total costs is this one, this gray line. And the total revenue, once they cross, you are break even, and beyond you make profit, right? So your profit here increases with increasing costs. And that's exactly how the agency scales, because your costs, they go only up slightly, but they can vary. I didn't include this volatility and variation here in this chart. I did that in the video, the setup of a scalable agency. There you can see exactly how the scaling happens. But you can only increase your costs slightly and your revenues go really up. That means your profits increase. Okay, let's go through that. So this is for period 2020. Your selling price means your total revenue in this year is 1 million. You have to deploy one squad, because remember, one squad can make up to 1 million per year. And that means you only need to have one squad to cover all your costs. That's calculated. And that means your break-even sales is at this number. Yeah, here again, you have all your fixed costs. 712,000 fixed costs are those that you've put into the assumptions for office and cars and insurance, etc. Then, yeah, direct labor costs is this, virtual team costs is this, total costs is this, and then total variable costs per squad is this number, and you want to keep that high, right? You want to keep the variable costs as high as possible, because that allows you to scale when revenues go down. You can decrease your costs, still stay profitable. Your break-even point is with one squad. And yeah, let me show you, if we change the scenario, right, then, okay, here's still one squad, because, yeah, let's switch it to 4. And let's also say a squad can make only 500,000 per year, like this. Then your break even is at 2.6 squads, and your profits will be lower, right? Because one squad makes less revenue, so the contribution margin is less, and that means your costs are not covered with only one squad. Instead, you need almost 3 squads. Yeah. Basically, that's what all this model does. It will help you to understand the economy, the numbers, the key drivers of revenue, the key drivers of your profitability. And yeah, we can go through that in a personal conversation, or you fill it by yourself. Very important is that you also watch the other video, the scalable agency, the setup of a scalable agency, so that you exactly understand how the roles are defined, how the teams are set up, and how the whole agency works, and why, right? You don't want just to implement that. It should solve a business problem. It should give you more flexibility. It should give you more scalability. It should give you more profitability, and make you ready for a flexible digital future, and even for times when revenues are unpredictable, such as in times of Corona. Let me know if you have further questions. I'm happy to work with you and to discuss with you how you can implement the system of a scalable agency in your own business.